Evening, guys. Sorry, this is a late one, but I've had a huge day today. And I really wasn't too sure what to talk about because, seriously, most of the afternoon we should have just hit record because the topics that I spoke with Jane about today were just so vital and we covered so many things. So there's 50,000 things to choose from. But I went out for dinner with a friend tonight and I decided this is the topic I want to talk about. And I want to talk about the masks that we wear. And I'm not talking about a physical, putting on a mask. I'm talking about the mask that we put on to get through the day. Those days where shit's just not going right, you don't feel right, and you put on this mask, this other personality sometimes. Sometimes it's an alter ego. But the mask I'm talking about is your survival mask. So I asked a friend tonight how he was. And he sort of looked at me, and I know him quite well. And I know he's been going through trouble, which is why I said to him, mate, we've got to catch up. When are you free? And he goes, after 8. I went, good, tomorrow, done, let's do this. And the reason why, sorry about the connection, and the reason why I did this was because I knew that he's been going through a really, really tough time. So, we've got marriage breakup and we've got teenage going. So sorry, guys. This damn internet is killing me. All right, so hang in there with me, sorry. He's been really struggling and he's been trying to hold it together. But the last time I saw him, his eyes were quite dark. And from my own personal experience, I knew that meant that he's been on drugs. And I knew that he's struggled to sleep. And quite frankly, he just needed time out, time to have a bit of fun. And he'd had a shit ass day today. And, like everything that could have gone wrong went wrong. I said, did your day improve after I spoke to you? And he goes, it has now. Sat down, you smiled, I feel better. So when I asked him fully, how are you? And he tried to say he's fine. So then I turned around and I said, so how are you? And he said, Mel, people don't want to know the truth because they just don't want to hear it, especially if it seems to be the same shit going over and over again. So you know what? I just put the mask on and I lie and I say I'm fine. But he's not fine. So how often in your life do you have people that you are surrounded by that put on the mask part-time? But how many people that you're around that put on the mask full-time? I am very good at putting on masks. I think I'm a little professional because I grew up being shown how the mask works. So, when you grow up around people who have coping mechanisms, like drinking and drugs, you learn how to put on that fake mask. And it's okay to do that. It is okay to put on a mask if it's temporary. But when it goes on and it goes on to the point that it actually starts to morph into your face and it becomes a permanent mask, and the essence, the true essence of who you are as a person changes into this other person, your survival person, it becomes a permanent survival person, it's a problem. Now, as I said, have been great at putting masks on and go, yeah, I'm fine because I've got this tough exterior. I'm a freaking Capricorn, guys. So I know that I've got this tough exterior. But for those that Jane said today are in my membership club. She said, I've got a membership club. And that what she was meaning was I have my inner circle and the outer circle. And those that get into the inner circle are in the membership club. And they start to, there's a trust that happens there. And they get to see that other essence of me, and that more vulnerable side of me that I'm learning to accept more. Because for me, being vulnerable, I just shun it and hide it, and the mask would go on, and now I'm learning to slowly take it off. And it's freaking scary, guys, but I know the key to vulnerability is actually embracing it. Once you embrace it, you're no longer vulnerable, and you're fine. So I have been, over a period of quite a few years, becoming substance free, and getting off the booze and the drugs. And now I do drink wine, but I don't generally get spastic drunk. It's not something that people have seen in the last couple of decades. It's pretty freaking rare. Well, I did have one trip to Thailand that did turn into the Hangover 4 movie, but it's not something that I commonly do, because when I do that, it is a form of my escapism, and it is one of my masks that I put on, and it's my relaxation coping mechanism. And the drugs, well, that was even worse. So suicide rates are on the rise again. And I do remember there being a post that was going around, specifically with the men, that were saying to the guys, something along the lines of, like, contact your mate and ask him how he is today. Because in our society, we're not taught to communicate well. Specifically, guys are not taught to do that, because it's a sign of weakness. If you admit that you're vulnerable or you're hurt or something like that, it's not something that's allowed. With women, it's a lot more acceptable, but with guys, it's not, which is why we say, ask your mate how you're going. But I'm saying to you, don't ask them once. I'm saying ask them twice, okay? Because the first time is probably a load of shit. So you really want to go and ask them again and say, no, mate, how are you really? And sometimes all they need is to vent and get it off their shoulders. Sometimes they're asking you for a solution. So you need to listen to the signs, but you need to also watch people to work out when that mask is on. And you know what? All my mate needed tonight was a cuddle. It's that simple. Hugging somebody is the ultimate key to changing mood. You give someone a hug, and because these chemicals are getting released, this testosterone and estrogen and stuff like that, just from that touch, this chemical lifts your mood, which is why when I was in Japan, people would hold signs saying free hugs, and you go and get a hug. Tell me when somebody hugs you that you don't automatically feel better. And what he needed was, he just needed a hug or two. So, and it literally, you could just see the mask come off and everything relaxed. And he is having a really tough time. And there's a lot of us out there that are having a tough time, but we're not, because we've got our mask on and we've got our okay mask and I'm fine mask. People, unless you're in the membership clubs, maybe don't know. Well, the question is, do you really care? Because if you do, take the time to ask your friends, are you okay? And then ask it again, no, are you really okay? And be genuine and give them full focus. Turn your phone off, have nothing around you. You can sit down and have a beer with them. But ask this question, guys. We need to be there for each other. Time is short. We're going to know how long we're on the earth for. So don't take it for granted at all. Wow, now you're going to see the emotional, vulnerable side. I'm saying this because, and I know my mum is probably watching, but my brother suicided 15 years ago. And I understand where he was coming from. I've had a father that's tried it plenty of times. God, even I've been there. We wear masks, and it is to breathe and it is to survive. And we lie. But you need to ask these questions, because more than likely today, with the way that our life is and the fast pace of our life, more than likely you have somebody in your life, in your membership club, that is really struggling, and they really need that little bit of time with you and that hug, and everything will be better. So tomorrow, I do have an interview on the radio tomorrow afternoon, which will be about 1:40 Australian time, and we will put up the link. We will be talking about a much brighter topic on dating, but I'll catch you guys tomorrow. Make sure that you contact a friend tonight or when you watch this video, and just ask the one person that you think that might just be hiding the truth, are you